Shard and Hey True Crime fans, welcome back to another episode of Shard and Hey True Crime. I'm your host Dakota, and with me this week is the lovely CM Adams. Welcome back.
Greetings and salutations.
Greetings and salutations.
So how was your week?
It was good. Let's see, what did I do this week? I wrote a lot of ridiculous fan fiction this week.
That's always fun. That is
Yeah.
always very fun. I
Yep.
happen to indulge and read in a lot of fan fiction, so what a coincidence.
Indeed. Yeah, so let's see. This week we are talking about someone that you're actually not very familiar with, which is kind of exciting for me.
I know.
I get to teach you a thing.
Right. So I did get to watch a nice little documentary about it that was made fairly recently, so I did get some recent information about it, but
all right.
I'm not going to sit here and claim I'm an expert because I'm pretty sure they probably skipped over some details.
Oh yeah, that is definitely something that the documentaries do. I just want to say real fast, hello to Mysterion and Tom who are watching live. Hi guys.
Hey.
Yeah, so this week we are talking about David Parker Ray, aka the Toy Box Killer. Now, this is actually a really interesting case because my sister, who is not like a huge true crime person, was the one who introduced this one to me, and that's because she went to college in New Mexico, which is where this case takes place.
Right.
And she went to and her boyfriend in college, his family lived in Socorro County. We've got Mysterion saying, "I'm the toy shelf killer." And if you have ever seen Mysterion's toy room, you would agree with that. I have been there. I have seen it. So many toys. It is like heaven. I swear. It's Toy Valhalla.
That sounds fantastic.
It really is. It really is. No, so my sister's college boyfriend, his family lived in Socorro County, and where a lot of this is taking place actually took place in Socorro County. So it's a little out of the way. It's so my sister went to school at NMSU in Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And where this happened, it's like about an hour and a half-ish north of there. So this took place in a town called Truth and Consequences.
Which I think is a really cool name.
So, do you want to hear a fun fact about why it is named Truth and Consequences?
Yes, I would, because I did look up. I know he lived in Elephant Butte, which I know why it's called Elephant Butte, but I did not look into why it's called Truth and Consequences. So enlighten me.
So Truth or Consequences came about because in the 1950s, there was a television show, a game show called Truth or Consequences. And they did a nationwide search to find a city that would be willing to change its name to the name of this game show. And this town, this little municipality in New Mexico was like, we'll do that. And they were known for having hot springs. And people would go to the hot springs and like relax. And the hot springs were very high in lithium. So people would like go relax in these like lithium hot springs and their bodies would feel better. So they decided that this was the town they were going to name it after because, you know, this town was like focused on helping people and making people feel better, which is really funny because that is the opposite of what David Parker Ray did.
Right. So it's like, no, that's the reputation it's got, you know?
Yeah.
The truth is ugly and the consequences were worse.
So much worse. So much worse. So we did a lot of research for this one. CM said that they were watching some documentaries. My research mostly came from the book Cries in the Desert by John Glatt.
That's actually one of the sources the documentary mentioned. So
okay, cool. Perfect. So then we have a lot of the same information.
Right.
Yeah. So this was actually, it was a really good book. I was listening to it. I buy all of my books on Audible these days because I like do so much. I don't have the time or patience to sit down and actually read things anymore. So my Audible app is my best friend. Cries in the desert. Yeah.
Audible should
Someday.
sponsor us.
Yeah, seriously. I was literally
One
just going to
day.
say, and someday we will be sponsored by Audible.
Mhm.
So how was your week? You asked about mine.
Oh yeah, my week has been fine. I did meet up with some friends. We had a lovely picnic out in Lincoln Park, which I thought
saw
was
that.
Yeah, that was actually a lot of fun. I got to
Good.
make some nice things and pet dogs,
Oh,
fun
that's
things
always
like
the
that.
best. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I did recently get a job opportunity, so gonna be hearing
Yay.
more about that Tuesday.
Hey, that's exciting. Good for
Mm-hmm.
you.
Right.
I'm excited for you.
Oh, thank you.
Of course. All right. So let's get into David Parker Ray, who, for
David.
whatever reason, my brain keeps trying to autocorrect to David Ray Parker.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
it can be flipped downright, flip it, reverse it,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But so anyways, David Parker Ray. Now, you wrote a beautiful introduction to this, so why don't you go ahead and share that?
Okay. So, when one thinks of it, I know I'm being dramatic. I gotta let everybody know it's serious business time,
Okay, all right, serious business. All right, we can do this. We can be serious. Let's do it. All right.
When one thinks of a toy box, you usually think of a chest filled with childlike curiosities and wonders. But tonight, we open a much more sinister box, not filled with innocent toys, but vicious objects of torture and victims at the mercy of an organized but sadistic killer. That man is named David Parker Ray, also known as the Toy Box Killer, an American kidnapper, torturer, rapist, and suspected serial killer. Bum, bum, bum. I almost did what you did, and I almost flipped Ray Parker. I'm so glad I caught myself, though.
I'm so glad you caught yourself too. That was really that. Oh God, that would have been bad. All right.
Right.
So tonight's story is a story of sadomasochism, sexual torture, and untried murder that still has the police and even his accomplices scratching their heads at how many have actually been killed.
Yeah,
So
like
it is believed to be 60 women from Arizona and New Mexico, and while living in Elephant Butte, New Mexico, approximately 7 miles away from Truth or Consequences. So join us as we tell a tale that, as far as we're concerned, is the truth and the consequences of his later actions. No, so this is, like I said, this is one that I'm actually a little more familiar with, and I'm excited to be telling it to all of you this evening because this is one that I feel like doesn't really get talked about nearly as much or enough, especially considering the FBI is still working on this case.
Right, and obviously we'll get into some more interesting facts later, but it's like some of it could still apply to this day, which, obviously I don't want to tell too much because, I don't want to spoil it.
No, but let's get it going. So, David Parker Ray was born November 6th, 1939 in Belen, New Mexico. During his childhood, he and his younger sister Peggy lived with their disciplinarian grandfather. Their grandfather was the kind of man who raised the kids to be up before dawn, to work hard on his cattle ranch, and then he would drive them the 4 miles to the main road to catch the 7:30 school bus. And then after school, the kids would come home and continue to work on the ranch until nightfall. So this guy, he is a rancher. He is, just this is what I do. I am a rancher. And he taught, David, he was like, when you button your shirt, you button it all the way to the collar, even though it's like the 50s. Nobody wore their shirts buttoned to the collar, but David did.
Right.
And it's kind of said that he was teased a lot for how he wore his clothes and other things.
Right.
Yeah, and
yeah, there is another. Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
Well, I think I'll probably have to bring up this fact later, but I do know that a childhood friend of his, or at least like a neighbor, I can't remember if it was a friend or a neighbor, they actually did, it was probably a neighbor, they did speak on David's grandfather, on just how like strict he was, you know, like I think he was also very like religiously strict as well, you know, he was just strict. Like he even said like in modern days he probably would have been labeled as abusive, but during that time it was just called strict.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, that's the kind of thing that you see with these sort of people, is that, you know, they in modern times would not be, you know, nearly as lenient on the way that people were raising kids in those times.
Right.
Yeah. However, I will say this, his grandfather was extremely strict. His grandmother, on the other hand, didn't care what the kids did. And I was reading some information. It was actually FBI files that they had on interviews with David Parker Ray. And he's talking in them and he's like saying, "Oh, as long as we did our chores, grandma didn't care what we did. Like I learned how to use dynamite by myself because my grandpa had it in a shed, and I would like go and I would steal it and then like strap it to a tree and then blow up the tree. And as long as my chores were done, grandma didn't give a crap."
Poor
Just,
tree.
y'all, y'all.
Right.
I'm sorry he
God,
didn't
what if that
blow
was like,
himself up. Jesus.
what if that was the neighbor's favorite tree, you know, like, okay, see you tomorrow, tree, and they're gonna come back and it's gone, like.
Well, the thing is, their closest neighbor was 5 miles away.
Oh yeah, that's right, because it's on a ranch, so they
Mhm.
probably wouldn't have cared.
Yeah. So throughout his life, he was visited sporadically by his violent alcoholic father and his flighty, not entirely always present mother. And it's said that it was his father who would supply his young son with magazines, usually of the pornographic and sadomasochistic variety. And that is what is believed to have led David to, you know, be as interested in sadomasochism as he was.
Right, because especially when you're being, because I think he wasn't even a teenager yet, like, or at least
No.
like getting into like, you know, he was very young. So when you're like exposed to that kind of thing and you're really not ready for it, that can cause some form of shock. Well, obviously, it's going to cause a form of shock because, you know, you don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah,
But
it
like,
will it
I
will
do
cause a
know.
lasting impression.
Right. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, anybody who's ever been exposed to pornographic material at a young age turned into a serial killer. But, you know, I do know when I first got exposed to it when I wasn't of age, it was kind of, it was shocking. It does something to you, you know?
Yeah, same. Mhm. Definitely same. Like hard same. Um and see, the other thing about him is like he was so shy. And it's like it's remembered by people who went to school with him that he was so shy around women that if a girl spoke to him, he would turn bright red and walk away. He just like couldn't handle women like talking to him even at a really young age.
Right. And I kind of wonder,
Mhm.
like, obviously, because he had a sister, he had a grandmother, so he was talking with some sort of, you know, someone that was AFAB.
Mhm.
But I kind of wonder if that had something to do with, like, maybe the lack of his mother being there, because I do know, like, once she did eventually divorce their father, she
Mhm.
immediately packed them up and dropped them off to the grandparents' house, which were, you know, the father's parents, and then just
Yeah.
left and went to go live with her own family.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not a psychiatrist, but
me neither. Me neither. I have taken 3 psychiatry classes in my life, and none of them have made me an expert in any form of psychiatry.
mhm,
But, you know, they're still interesting. It's
right.
interesting to understand at least whatever it is that I can understand from the classes that I've taken, but you know, I am the first to acknowledge, like, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
I will say I know what the fuck I'm talking about the bystander effect, though, because I had to write a 12-page paper on that for psychology. That's just a phenomenon that will always fascinate me. But you know, that I digress. That's the story for another day.
We will talk about that at some point.
We will.
And you will take point on that.
Yes.
Now, at Mountainair High School in Mountainair, New Mexico.
Yeah,
Mountainair. He was also bullied by his peers for, like we said, his shyness around girls. And he mainly spent time alone at his grandfather's ranch. Though at about like 15, his grandparents gave him a dirt bike and he discovered a talent for mechanics. And suddenly, the boy who was teased and bullied was somewhat popular amongst his peers when the other students needed him to help fix up their bikes, which he happily did. However, at the same time that this is going on, he has these insane sexual fantasies that he has no idea on how to get a handle of.
Right.
And these fantasies are of raping, torturing, and even murdering women, which in his own words, he has said were the only things that made it so that he could reach sexual gratification.
Right. Especially, you know, when that's your first introduction to that kind of content. And of course, you know, again, this is the 50s where, you know, men aren't taught that women are people. They're just people pleasers. So it's like, I'm not excusing it, but it's like, it makes sense, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So it's around this time his sister discovered his own sadomasochistic drawings as well as pornographic photos of bondage acts. And right around that time, his grandmother died very suddenly. And it was for that reason that David and his sister were split up. She stayed in town and moved in with a family in town away from her grandfather's ranch. And David was sent to live with his mother. And that was the last time his old schoolmates ever heard of David Parker Ray until, of course, they read about him in the papers decades later.
I almost like, yeah, because honestly, like when I was watching the documentary, it didn't talk much about the sister after she discovered those drawings. So I'm actually glad that she at least like got away, especially with what happens later, you know, with other people that we will discuss. It's like that was more than likely for the best, you know.
Yeah.
She got the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. After completing high school, he received an honorary discharge from the U.S. Army, wherein when he was in the Army, he spent 3 years in Korea, not in the war, just in the country. And he worked as a general mechanic.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sorry, this was around the time when it was the Korean War, and that was like the free love movement and stuff. Yeah, they did talk about that.
So he was in the Army from 1960 to 1963. So the Korean War, I'm pretty sure, was already over at this point.
Right.
Like, at least from his words, it was. Hang on. Korean War. The Korean War was from 1950 to 1953. So yeah. He actually at one point tried to like reinvent himself as a hippie. It didn't work.
Yeah, I saw that. It was like he just kind of just appropriates, like, okay, let me just jump on this, LOL, JK, and then jumps off, like,
pretty much
done. Like, I noticed that's a pattern with him. Like, he'll jump onto something, get bored, and then just jump to the next thing. Which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but,
No, try everything, you know? Like, life is for living. Try everything, you know?
All right, just don't fucking murder people in the process. That ain't cool.
Don't do that. That's not okay. And that's no bueno. Throughout his life, he was married and divorced 4 times. He had 2 children, including his daughter, Glenda Jean Ray, also known to everyone around town as Jessie. Now, Jessie was a very outspoken lesbian at a time in a small town when that sort of thing just wasn't spoken about. Like,
Right.
You don't talk about it. And then there's Jessie, who's like, guess what? I'm a lesbian.
Right.
She apparently used to ride around town on her Toyota motorcycle wearing full leather, and she got the nickname Dyke on a Bike.
Oh my gosh. That is, I mean, I both love it, but I also know that during that time that wasn't a compliment. So it's like,
They also called her the Cave Diver.
really? Really? Come on. They could have done better than that. I would have accepted Carpet Muncher.
I don't know. Cave Diver's original, at least. Carpet Muncher, that's
True.
just like, it's like, all right, come on, try harder. Who hasn't heard Carpet Muncher?
Right.
I honestly, I love Dyke on a Bike. Like,
I know. That's I want that on a sticker. I want that on a shirt. Like,
it sounds
if
like
that hasn't been done by now.
It sounds like a Dr. Seuss book.
It does. Look, children, a dyke on a bike. Isn't that grand?
And there's a gay laying in some hay.
Right? There's a bee flying in the sky.
Like, join us next week when we create more children's stories about all of the different sexual identities.
Happy Pride Month, everyone!
Happy Pride Month! Oh, shit. Oh, my God. All right. So anyways, so her childhood, Jessie's childhood, was very unconventional. Her father was on the road fairly often, and when he was home, he did very little to hide his interest in sadomasochism, and Jessie knew exactly what was going on and considered his behavior to be perfectly normal. And I mean, I think it's because, she was raised around all of this,
Yeah, not only was she raised, I think, if I recall, there actually was at one point where one of his sessions did get very violent. She did try to call the police, but then I don't remember if they just didn't care or if there just wasn't enough evidence.
So it wasn't actually the police that she called. We're getting to that.
Oh, okay.
We are getting to that. So by the time she was 19, she was conflicted about her father's strange and violent sexual behavior. She once caught him hiring a prostitute and witnessed the woman running away from her father's home after he became too violent with her. But in 1989, Jessie went to the FBI and reported him. She told them that he had begun picking up prostitutes, abusing them sexually, and then driving them down to Mexico and selling them into slavery. Now, Jessie would later claim that she had just reported her dad for selling pot, but that doesn't explain why the FBI has sworn statements from her from 89 and why the file on him from around that time exists. BT Dubs, that is the exact same file that I sent you earlier.
Right.
And
yeah, you did.
And in it, they're talking not about drugs, but about his sexual proclivities. So that is a file. That's a file that you can find very easily on the FBI's website. It's in an area called the Vault, but I will go ahead and post that file on our Facebook page so you can read it yourself there. Hi.
Hi, Mark. Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark. But unfortunately, they focused more on the trafficking claims than anything else. And when there was no evidence of him engaging in human trafficking, the FBI dropped the case. Now, it's noted by one of her friends that this was the one time that Jessie tried to escape from her father's grasp. A lot of people would later say that she was so controlled by her father that this was the one time she tried to go against him and tried to speak out. But when nothing happened and the case went nowhere, Jessie was left feeling like it was absolutely impossible to go against what her father said and did. And eventually, she became one of his accomplices.
That's actually a psychological phenomenon. Well, it's not a phenomenon. It's
condition?
It's a condition. It's called learned helplessness, where if somebody tries to report something that happens, or they try to tell, basically snitch, hey, something bad happened, and no consequences happen, nothing gets done, then they just give up. They just stop caring, because it's like, what's the point? Nobody's going to believe me. Nobody's going to do anything. So that's very believable. That's a very common thing with like people in environments like that.
Absolutely. So another interesting thing that happened around this time, it was actually about a year before Jesse went to the FBI. This was the disappearance of David Parker Ray's boss at the used car business that he worked at, Billy Ray Bowers.
Now, I'm ready about that. Because I did not hear anything like in the documentary or any of the things that I read about. So I am excited to hear about this.
Yeah. So David Parker Ray was the talented and, as it is quoted, oftentimes disgruntled mechanic at the auto shop when Billy went missing in September 1988. And immediately his family knew that something was amiss. But despite the $5,000 reward, no information regarding his disappearance ever came up. Now, now there's a lake in Elephant Butte, the Elephant Butte Lake, and there was a little area called McCara Cove. A lot of anglers would go to McCara Cove to go fishing, because apparently the fish could be like huge, like 30 pounds.
Yeah,
like 30
especially
pounds.
The catfish.
Yeah,
right. Well, they especially talked about the catfish.
Yeah. Catfish are disgusting, by the way. For anyone that doesn't know, catfish are bottom feeders. They are disgusting. They will eat literally anything. It's gross.
But they have cute little mustaches.
They'll eat a baby. They will eat an entire baby if they're big enough.
That's fair.
Have you seen those videos of like little kids trying to feed catfish, and then the catfish just like chomps it to like the freaking elbow?
No, I haven't actually. I just saw them like. I just see them like getting little groups and going like bloop 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 with their little mustache thingies.
No, I've seen a catfish eat a squirrel.
Ew. Or
I mean, it was dead, but
Well, yeah.
It was like dead and floating, and then the catfish was just like. Boom.
Right, and then also that type of like area, the lakes are very muddy, so it's like you can't even see in the water. So if you literally threw somebody in there, you're not going to see them ever again. Catfish and the mud and just how dirty the water is.
Actually, interesting fact. So there is a lake right by where I grew up in Fillmore called Lake Piru. And that's actually where the girl from Glee died.
Really?
Yeah. So, and all of that was happening. I remember hearing that she had jumped off of the boat that her son was found on and then never resurfaced. Here's the thing. The bottom, I want to say at least 10 feet of that lake is all just sediment of like dead leaves and like mud and everything. I have walked in that lake before, and I've gone into that lake up to like my knees. I will not go in that lake any further because I grew up there and I know what that lake is like. And that was like up to my shins. And like every time I took a step, it was just suck me in.
It's like sludge. It's like
if you've ever have you been to the La Brea tar pits since you moved to LA?
Not yet, but back home, it's a very swampy area. So a lot of like lakes and watery areas and stuff, a lot of it is not sand, it's mud. It's like mucky, it's gross. It's like, I remember as a kid, I kind of liked the feeling of squishing in it, but as you grow older, it's like, okay, this is kind of gross, but.
Yeah, no, 100%. But like, so at the tar pits, there is this, there's this like interesting container thing that is full of tar. And then they have these like simulated weights to simulate what it would feel like to try and pull your arm or your feet out of the tar.
Right.
That's what it felt like walking through like Lake Piru as a child.
Right.
So in Elephant Butte Lake, it is very similar. So I know how. So when it came to the girl from Glee, my thought process was she jumped, she hit the bottom, tried to push off, and it just sucked her down.
Right.
And that's pretty much she drowned. They found that she had drowned. So, I
It
wasn't
makes
surprised.
sense.
I wasn't
Yeah.
surprised. I was like, no, they're not going to find her. They're going to find her body. And then that's
Right.
exactly what happened. However, a fisherman who had gone out angling for fish at the McCara Cove in Elephant Butte Lake in New Mexico one day found not a giant catfish, but a blue tarp wrapped around a body. Yeah. So
Yeesh.
when the tarp was unfurled and properly examined, they found that the body was that of a man who was 5'10" and who had been shot in the back of the head, execution style. They also found that he had been weighted down by 2 boat anchors. However, gases in the body and everything, those outweigh boat anchors. Just FYI, if you're gonna dump a body, don't do it in a lake. That's really
Yeesh.
bad that I'm saying that, but like,
Get creative, you know.
I mean, they did just pull that body out of Lake Mead out here, and it was in like an oil container and stuff, but it's like so old and everything. But it was obviously a mob hit, like obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But
They could
anyway,
have went with cement, but I guess that's too hard.
eh,
Eh.
eh. And you gotta wait
I'm
for
not
the
one to judge. I'm
you
not
gotta
one to
like
judge my
wait for the
murders.
cement to dry and all of that. It's just like
There's an art about it.
there's an art to dumping a body.
Yeah, there is an art.
This is really weird turn we're taking on this episode. So,
Yeah.
um,
Anyway.
anyways, identification wasn't quite coming. In fact, they buried the man under a John Doe name until 11 years later when they finally released the name of John Doe as Billy Ray Bowers. Now, little is known about the murder, just that he had been shot, like I said, execution style in the back of the head, and even less was known about the nefarious secret life that his once disgruntled mechanic led.
God, it just makes me wonder what happened, because most of his victims were women, and here's this disgruntled mechanic just trying to live his life. Like, what did he do?
No. David Parker Ray was the disgruntled mechanic.
Oh, my bad.
Billy was his boss.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Billy was his boss. Yeah. So I'm like, what? Did he just not give you enough hours? Did he give you too much hours? Like, did he say, no, you can't go have sexy time in the toy box? Like, get back to work? Like, what happened?
So there's an interesting thing in the book where they talk a lot about how he and his business partner were at odds. My theory is that the business partner hired David Parker Ray to murder him. Now that is just a theory.
Sense.
That is just a theory.
A game theory. But
that's just what I think.
Gotcha.
So anyway, and like he knew that something was happening. Billy Ray Bowers knew that something was going on because he started keeping 2 sets of books and he had one hidden, but he would do the books every day. And he always said, if something happens to me, look at the people I work with.
Wow.
So he knew that something was up.
Jeez.
Yeah. Anyways, so after moving to Elephant Butte and renting a home there, David Parker Ray immediately bought a 20-foot semi-trailer and had it placed near his house. He would spend years soundproofing, designing, and cultivating everything he would need to make the toy box into what would soon become to an unknown number of women, Satan's Den. Now, I call it Satan's. Mm-hmm.
He even had a stupid sign for it. Like, it looked bad. Like,
he had a stupid little handmade sign above the door that said Satan's Den.
That's just me being an elitist as a graphic designer. Like, the font was shit. Come on. But, regardless, it was called Satan's Den.
It was like a little wood sign like that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With like bold red. Like, I will at least compliment that. It was a bold red.
Yeah, I got that. Yeah, you're the designer. I am the writer? I don't know.
You are a jack of all trades. That's what I would like to say. You are very
Alright.
talented in many areas.
Thank you. As are you, my dear.
Oh, thank you.
Cheers, my dears.
Cheers!
Clink.
Clink. Kanpai.
Anyways, so Ray sexually tortured and presumably, we say presumably, killed his victims using homemade whips, chains, pulleys, straps, clamps, leg spreaders, surgical blades, and saws. It is theorized that he tortured many women with these tools for many years while living in New Mexico with the help of accomplices, some of whom are alleged to have been several of the women that he was dating. Inside the torture room, along with numerous sex toys, torture implements, syringes, and detailed diagrams of showing ways of inflicting pain, there was a homemade electrical generator which was also used for the torture. There was an OBGYN table, which those things already freak me out enough as they are.
Right.
Ugh, those are uncomfy.
They are. They're very uncomfy.
Oh my God.
I mean, just the whole situation is uncomfy, but.
Have you seen the video of what they actually do when they take like a sample of your cervix?
Yes.
On the orange?
Yes.
Yeah. I was like, what
uncomfy.
are you?
Very
Right?
uncomfy.
Right? I'm
Very
like,
uncomfy.
I didn't even know that that's what they were doing down there. I thought they were just like taking a little scrape.
Yeah, I also noticed he had a stove in there, so I'm also wondering if he because you can find pictures, of of the pictures he had, of the diagrams, and I noticed there was just a big ass stove just there. So I'm like, I wonder if he had some sort of temperature torture as well,
I mean, personally, I think he would like burn them, It
Yeah,
just
burn
seems like
them.
something he would do.
Or maybe he was just making coffee while he does it, but
Oh my God,
again,
it's
I wasn't
terrible that I
there.
laughed. It's so bad that I laughed.
I know.
I feel bad.
That's okay. I probably shouldn't have said that, but I'm just like, what? Why is it there?
So here's a really interesting thing about the gynecological table. He had it on tracks and pulleys. So it would actually slide across the floor so he could position them wherever he wanted.
Oh, that would make sense. He could just pull them over there if he wanted to do some yikes. Big yikes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Big fucking yikes.
Big ol' yikes. Big ol'
Especially
yikes.
if it came to fear play and shit.
Oh God, right. So here is a picture of some of the tortures inside of that box of hell. He's got a literal Barbie doll in the corner right there, like naked. That's like a Barbie doll.
God, why, dude?
So you see the lamp like right by the table or the chair.
Mm-hmm.
So right to above the lamp to the right, that is a Barbie doll right there.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
What's the point of that?
I don't know.
Is that just to be funny? I'm not laughing though. I
don't think any of us are laughing.
Yeah, nobody's laughing.
No one's
except
laughing.
For the fact that he's dead,
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Whoops, my bad, y'all. All right, roll credits. The end, guys.
CM ruined it.
I ruined it.
So
well, you know what? If I'm gonna keep ruining things, you all lost the game too.
Oh wow! Wow! You are a monster tonight.
I am. All right, but anyways,
a monster.
Yes. You know what? I could even go even further, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to. I won't. That's all I'll do. That's my limit for tonight.
These pictures here are of different instruments of torture.
Instruments of torture. At least he had gloves.
Yeah.
Like right there, the meta guards.
Yeah. So I will say this, when I was listening to the book about this, they were like, "Oh, even like the Spanish Inquisition never thought of some of the shit that David thought of." And I'm like, "You know what? That is not a good thing." That's
I
got
know.
way
It's
more
like, is that a
creative than the
compliment?
Spanish Inquisition.
Like,
Uh,
I don't think that was a compliment.
it's not the
Like,
compliment that you think it is. Like, you
right.
guys, don't say that. You're gonna like challenge
Rude.
some bro on fucking like Tumblr or something. You know what I mean?
I'm thinking more Reddit or 4chan. They probably take that as a challenge.
Oh,
Like, you know
please.
what?
You've seen those dudes on Tumblr.
Oh yeah, I have.
Yeah. So I'm going to show what I thought to be the most horrifying piece that was shared. A lot of this stuff was actually handmade by David Parker Ray, too. Like, that is horrifying. But
Mm-hmm.
you see that white thing right there with all the spikes on
With the
it?
spikes, yeah.
Yeah. That's a dildo. And those are
You keep,
nails.
you keep that shit away from me. No.
And he would push that.
No.
He would push that into a woman's lady place
Oh no. No,
until the
no, no,
nails
no, no.
until the nails on the base would cut into her thighs. So those so
Yuck.
those other nails, you see those other
Uh-huh.
ones on the middle part there? Those would be
Hold on, let me
inside of
get a
her.
little closer.
Yeah.
I've heard of things like that. I just didn't
Mhm.
know it was real.
Mhm. Yeah. He designed that himself.
Yeesh.
He designed that himself. It's made with
Oh my
PVC pipe and nails melted into it.
oh my god.
Yeah.
It's like, don't get me wrong, I understand like hard BDSM and stuff, but it's also like have consent, please. Oh
Oh,
my
no. He
god.
didn't believe in consent.
I know he didn't. That's what makes him a piece of shit.
I
Like
mean, yeah, I think all of this makes him a piece of shit, you know?
it gives the BDSM community such like we don't claim him, you know? Like
They don't claim a lot of people, and I'm proud of them for that, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But, you know,
People who know how to do it right are, they're okay. They're fine.
you're not
But
going
it's
to find them in a toy box.
no,
Just let you know.
no. So here's another really creepy thing about him. He had a coffin in his house that he would sometimes take his victims out of the toy box into the house and leave them in the coffin or have them like chained to the coffin in his
Mhm.
living room so that he could use them in the comfort of his own home where it was probably air conditioned.
Yes, I did see that. Like it wasn't like ugh. Like
Yeah.
I do remember seeing a picture of it. It looked really like kind of bunk beddy
Yeah,
kind
it
of.
was, like, pretty uncomfy looking. Let me see. Oh, here it is. I
Yeah.
found it. Yeah, it was pretty uncomfy looking. So ooh, no, that's not what I wanted. And it is reported that he spent over $100,000 on all of this, just FYI. So, if you ever think you spend too much money on your hobby,
Think of what he did. Like
yeah,
think of how many tacos you could have bought with that.
that's so many tacos,
That is
dude.
so many fucking
Oh my
tacos. Like that's
god.
a lot of ramen. Mark,
It
if you know, you know.
seriously, like, if you're like, I spent too much money on sushi," like, David Parker Ray spent $100,000 on all of this nonsense,
That's
so
bullshit. Yeah.
don't even
You're
worry
good.
about it.
You
You
are
buy yourself
good. At
another
least,
fucking roll of sushi, man.
right. Buy all the sushi we want. At
Yeah.
least it's like
Mhm.
nutrients, it's going through your body, it's protein. Like, you're good. All right. Buy your fucking sushi, please.
CM,
Yes.
he was going through their body.
Oh my God. Oh. Oh.
Good
Good night, everybody. Mwah. Ah.
And I am
But
going to
anyway,
hell.
if you're going to hell, I'm going to double hell at this point.
You and me both, baby. Anyways,
So,
so
oh
inside the
yeah.
torture room, along with the numerous sex toys, the torture implements, the syringes, and detailed diagrams showing ways of inflicting pain. There was a homemade electrical generator, which was used for torture. A mirror, some people say it was a mirror, some people say it was a TV screen monitor, would show, I personally, I think it was a mirror. It seems more like him to have a mirror.
I don't know. I feel like it would have been a monitor because I know he recorded a lot of what he did, you know, and especially if you're going to be like a sadistic piece of shit like that, you're going to want trophies, you know, especially like,
well,
if there's a pattern.
Did want that. He definitely had trophies. All right. You know what? I found another picture of the toy box. I hate that it's called that.
Right.
I found another picture of the toy box. So let's take a look here. Yeah. It doesn't look like they're, no, those look like lights.
Yep, there's the stove. There's a stove, but no coffee in sight.
Yep. So that doesn't look like a mirror. That looks like lights. So I guess it must have been a TV monitor. Also, just like
look at the oven mitt. Oh my god.
I know, right? They're like one oven mitt.
Why is it there? What do you need that for? Tell us, David. I'm gonna get a Ouija board. I'm gonna ask what's up with that.
Yeah, David.
David.
Ew, David.
Of course his name's fucking David. Have you ever known a good David? I haven't. Are we gonna have to add that to the no-no list?
I think so. Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
I think we're gonna have to add David to the no-no list.
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
So anyways, so there was, as we have figured out, not a mirror, but a TV screen in there above the OBGYN table to which he would strap his victims. And he would also put his victims in wooden contraptions that bent them over and immobilized them. Oh, I hate this part where he would have animals assault them.
Oh, no. Like, I know that's like into very hard BDSM for some people, but I'm just like, that is just a line, a boundary. I am just no. Even furries are like, we don't claim them, but don't get me wrong. I love furries. Any of my furry friends, I love you guys. I know you're not one of those sickos. I love y'all. Please give me a hug next time I see y'all, because y'all give great hugs. I don't know what it is. Furries give great hugs.
Yeah.
They're sweaty, but I love them.
That's nice.
I know.
I have an issue about body fluids.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
I understand. Yeah, I'm not a fan either, but you know. I understand fursuits are gonna make you sweat, you know.
It's pushing a level for me, even just like making out with people is just pushing a level, and sometimes I'm okay with it, and other times I'm just like, bleh.
I understand. It's like you gotta it's kind of like how I am with hugs. I have to be in the mood for certain hugs because sometimes I get overstimulated and I'm like, okay, I don't want to be touched. Don't even look at me because I feel like that's touching me, you know?
Yeah, totally. Absolutely right there with you on that one.
But yeah, the animal thing, that's gross. I am actually kind of glad they did not mention that in the documentary because I probably would have had to like stop it.
You would have had to just be like, all right, I'm done for now.
Yeah, it was like 2 a.m. when I was like watching it. So I'm like, okay, I would have had to pause, go outside, scream, disturb the neighbors.
Scream at the train.
Scream at the train, yes.
Oh my god. Just wait till the train goes by and then just scream at it.
Right. Ah!
The people on the train just,
that's you.
Does the people on the train just, is that bitch okay?
Right. I don't think she's all right, man. Should we stop? Nah. We'll just hog
she
back.
Just like comes out here at like 2 a.m. and screams at us and then goes inside. Like, we don't know what her deal is.
Let's just ignore her, you know. Let her feel what she feels.
The train conductors are just like,
yes. What did we do? What's wrong with you? Like, we don't claim her, y'all.
Nope. But it is also said that David would sometimes have other friends rape the women as well.
I can absolutely believe that, especially since he was able to have so many fucking accomplices that did not snitch. You know, it's like that's not implausible.
No, it's really
that is not implausible.
Unfortunately, it's really not.
Yeah.
He also had an audio tape recording of his voice that he would play for his victims whenever they regained consciousness.
Fuck that recording. They played it. Like, I know it's supposed to be like 45 minutes long.
It's not 45 minutes long.
Oh, it's not?
No.
Okay, then whoever told me probably exaggerated. But yeah, it's like, I think it was like he got so tired of telling everybody the same narrative to where he just recorded it.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like, I know this is me kind of, uncomfortably coming out about some things I love in SFW audios.
No judgment. No judgment.
And it sounds to me like somebody trying really, really hard to make one of those, but they suck,
Yeah.
It's like one of those people that like saw other people making NSFW audios and being like, oh, I could do that and make money off of it and girls will simp over me. And then they try it and it's like, dude, you suck.
Yeah.
That's basically what it was. Like they played like a little bit of it for the doc. Like, do you have like an audio for it? Or
I don't have an audio of him reading it, but I do have the script for it.
Okay, yeah, because I did hear vaguely of it, and he just sounds so lame. He sounds so cringe.
I'm going to do my David Parker Ray impression. You've heard his voice because you heard that little clip of the audio.
Yeah.
So just let me know how this impression is, okay?
Okay.
All right,
get a mustache ready. Get a mustache ready, because he has a stupid...
I already have one.
Oh, yeah, well, yours is a beautiful mustache. His is an ugly one, so...
Oh, okay, hang on here. I'll get a bad... mustache.
Yeah, your mustache is beautiful. So I'm like, I don't want to. Your mustache is like beautiful and majestic and very Dali-like, which that is like perfection in my opinion. But his is like that gross Ford one that I've been seeing in almost all serial killers that we've been talking about so far. It's like that.
Right. Hang on a second.
One.
Hang on, I'm getting a mustache real fast, and I'm gonna where's my scissors? Here we go. All right, get the mustache ready. Gotta get, gotta do it. It's gonna be perfect. And I'm gonna do my impression of David Parker Ray. And it's gonna be terrible.
It's not gonna be terrible. It's gonna be delightful.
No. I just mean reading the stuff that he says is going to be terrible.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's going to be terrible, but I'm pretty sure your performance is going to be lovely. Okay.
Are you ready for this?
Yes, I am absolutely ready for this.
Okay. Hello, bitch.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it so much. That is beautiful. 10 out of 10, I want a print. All right.
I made it with a post-it note. It's a post-it note and a Sharpie.
Okay, now I want one. Okay. I have a sticky note right over here, except mine's gonna be green.
Note. I'm gonna find some tape so that I can stick this bitch on.
Okay.
I feel like I should be wearing my serial killer glasses instead of my regular glasses for this.
Okay, I don't know where my scissors are, so I'm just going to have to rip it. So mine's going to be a very bootleg one. I'm very sorry for that.
You're bootlegging my intellectual property.
I'm going to jail.
Okay.
Yes!
Okay. All right. How's this? Am I David Parker Ray?
Here we go. Here is my bootleg.
Am I David Parker Ray now?
Yes, you are.
All right. Okay. Hello.
Thank you. That's Sweeney Todd. He heard that I needed something sharp.
Ah, there you go.
I'm looking for the wine opener because I saw it last night and now I can't remember where it is, but it's in this room.
Well, I'll deal with it later.
Here it is.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, my dove.
Hello, Dakota. Goodbye,
Hello.
Dakota.
Hello.
There we go. All right. There we go. There is my very bootleg. I realized I went the wrong way. Hold on.
okay.
Wait, I could just flip it. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
There we go. There we go. I just have to hold it.
Okay, you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, so this is my impression of David Parker Ray. Hello there, bitch. Are you comfortable?
So it's just like you would have. It sounds just like him.
Hang on, I thought of something.
Hello there, bitch. Like,
hang on, I thought of something. I'm gonna try this and see if this works.
Like you're already so mad. Like
I know, right?
Hello there, bitch.
He's like, I'm fucking tired of saying this shit. All right, I'm gonna see if this works. All right, I used a hole punch to punch a hole, and hopefully it'll stick on my nostrils.
Here, I'll just go like this. Yeah.
All
oh no, it disappeared.
Work. Hello there, bitch. Are you comfortable right now? I doubt it. Wrists and ankles chained, gagged, probably blindfolded. You are disoriented and scared too, I would imagine. Perfectly normal under the circumstances. For a little while, at least, you need to get your shit together and listen to this tape. It is very relevant to your situation. I'm going to tell you in detail why you have been kidnapped, what's going to happen to you, and how long you'll be here. I don't know I don't know the details of your capture because this tape is being created July 23rd, 1993 as a general advisory tape for future female captives. Now you are obviously here against your will, totally helpless. Don't know where you're at, don't know what's going to happen to you. You're very scared, or God damn it, or very pissed off.
I'm pissed off.
I know,
I'm not even there.
Tried to fucking yeet itself out of here. Yeah.
I'm just gonna hold it like this.
Sounds good.
I
Okay.
I can hold it like this. There we go.
Okay. All right. I'm sure you've already tried to get your wrists and ankles loose, and no, you can't. Now you're just waiting to see what's going to happen next. You probably think you're going to be raped, and you're fucking sure right about that. You're fucking sure right about that. God damn it.
Right.
David.
Oh, man, I lost my mustache. Oh, well. I'm still listening.
Our primary interest is in what you've got between your legs. Ugh.
Gross.
You'll be raped thoroughly and repeatedly in every hole you've got. Because basically, you've been snatched and brought here for us to train and use as a sex slave. Sound kind of far out?
Far out. Yep, that's showing his age.
Well, I suppose it is to the uninitiated, but we do it all the time. It's going to take a lot of adjustment on your part, and you're not going to like it a fucking bit. But I don't give a rat's ass about that. It's not like you're going to have any choice about the matter. You've been taken by force. You're going to be kept and used by force. What is all amounts to is that you're going to be kept naked and chained up like an animal to be used and abused anytime we want, any way we want to. And you might as well start getting used to it because you're going to be kept here and used until such a time as we get tired of fucking around with you. And we will eventually, in a month or 2, maybe 3, it's no big deal. Now, that isn't the full script of what he said. He also would go on to explain that he used sodium. Oh, what is it called? Sodium barbituals or something like that. It's the same.
He definitely used like some strong drugs to manipulate like them remembering
their memories. So what he used was actually the same drugs that they would use when they gave people electric shock therapy.
Oh yeah, that's right, he did.
So,
God, it's like one that sounds like some hard BDSM NSFW audios that like people make like on Audio Gone Wild on Reddit, but like very cringy.
It also just sounds like a bad time.
It does sound like a very bad time because I'm also like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen to you. Then why am I here? Why am I here?
You don't know what's going to happen, but you put me here. Yes, you know what's going to happen.
Are you going to feed me tacos? Are you going to feed me tacos? Like, something could happen, but oh my God. But that's the best case scenario. And obviously the best case scenario did not happen. It
did not. No. So this would go on. And, that tape that he made was made July 23rd, 1993. So
it's been happening for a good minute.
Yeah. And it would continue to happen for a good minute too, because the case that would result in the capture and the repulsive revelations of what darkness was living and thriving in Elephant Butte would come out in 1999.
God, so long.
I know.
And can I just take a minute? Like, I know we've already talked about that we are very sex worker positive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It just genuinely breaks my heart.
Yeah.
On just how many situations where these sex workers are just so dehumanized. Like,
oh, absolutely.
They literally just come in just trying to do a job, trying to pay bills, feed themselves, maybe even feed some kids that they have. And just being put through the fucking ringer. Like, that's bullshit, And it just pisses me off that these people feel so entitled to them. Like, yeah, I get it. You're paying for a service. You're paying for somebody's time. But by the end of the day, they're still a person. And you need to treat them with respect and human decency. And it just, sorry, I'm on the brink of about to cry. And it just really pisses me off because a lot of my friends are sex workers. And it just, I just immediately imagine them being in that situation. And it just really hurts,
I know.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get emotional, but it just really pisses me off.
It's all right, because this is a very serious thing. And a lot of it, to my knowledge, is that there's such a stigma behind sexuality. There really is an insane stigma behind sexuality. It's like when, a guy calls a woman hot and she says, yeah, instead of being like, oh my God, really? Then they're just like, well, fuck you, bitch. And it's like, why? Why fuck me? Because I know that I'm hot. It's not
right. You pointed out a fact. So what?
It's weirdly somehow more desirable for people to deny that they are attractive when in reality, and also at the same time, people are like, oh, well, confidence is so great. When guys love girls that are confident. And if you act confident, then people act like garbage. I can't.
We talked about that. Sorry, but yeah, they actually talked about that in art history, where it's I actually took a class in women in art history, where it's if a woman poses I don't know, let's just say dramatically like this.
Yeah.
It's called beauty and enchanting, but if she holds a mirror, then it's considered vanity, even though it's the exact same pose, it's the exact same everything,
Yeah, exactly. It's entitlement is what it is.
It really is. It's entitlement. It's misogyny. It's dehumanization.
Men have been conditioned to believe that they are entitled to a woman's time, her energy, her body, all of that. And when a woman displays her willingness to choose her partners, they're treated like the bad guy.
Right. It's how dare they say no? I'm entitled to this. And it's what?
Yeah, you should see some of my Tinder messages.
Ew, I am so sorry.
Yeah. Anyway. So, David Parker Ray posed as an undercover police officer and approached Cynthia Vigil.
Cynthia Vigil? Maybe Vigil, but It's a pretty name.
It is a pretty name.
It makes me think of Sybil from Silent Hill, who was also a cop,
right.
but anyway.
She was a known prostitute and he approached her in a parking lot and told her that she was under arrest for solicitation of prostitution and handcuffed her. He took her to his trailer in Elephant Butte, and after 3 days of captivity, Cynthia escaped from his home in Elephant Butte on March 22nd, 1999. To escape, she waited until... You good?
Oh, yeah, I'm good. I was just getting in a more comfortable position. My bad.
So to escape, she waited until David Parker Way went to work and then unlocked the chains. His accomplice, Cindy Hendley, had left the keys on a nearby table before going to another room to take a phone call. And after Cynthia got the keys, Cindy noticed her attempt to escape and a fight ensued. Cindy was trying to keep Cynthia contained, trying to keep her, so that she could be like, oh, David, I didn't let her run away.
Yeah, because there actually is some context behind that, because I think Cindy, kind of was in a very indirect polyamorous relationship with David.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, they were having,
Cindy was his fiance.
Yeah, and she wanted to definitely make sure things were more official with each other, because I feel like she might have just agreed to the polyamory just to seal the deal with him, but then really wanted to prove her worth, no, I'm worth being number one or whatever, so I feel like that was maybe a motivation.
Probably. So anyways, so during the struggle,
right,
Cindy managed to break a lamp on Cynthia's head, but
Yikes.
Cynthia unlocked her chains and stabbed Cindy in the neck with an ice pick. Good for fucking you, boo.
Right.
Good for you.
She fought for her fucking life.
And she won.
Mm-hmm.
And she fucking won. So,
yeah, she did.
Yeah, so Cindy fell to the floor and Cynthia escaped. She was wearing only an iron slave collar and a 5-foot length of chain. She ran down the road seeking help, which she finally managed to get from a nearby homeowner when she noticed that the door was unlocked, or the door was open, and she ran into the house screaming for help. The homeowner took her in, comforted her, and called the police. Her escape led officials to the trailer and instigated the capture of David Parker Ray. Now the police...
you can actually hear that phone call, in the documentary. I think it's you can hear her southern twang. She's like, hey, this girl's in trouble. Y'all need to come,
She's
now.
Naked and everything.
Right,
naked and everything.
Yeah, she's naked. She need help. It was... she did not fuck around. She's like, look, this girl needs help. You need to come now, since yesterday.
Since 3 days ago when she was
that was
kidnapped.
Right. So kudos to that neighbor, because they did not fuck around.
Yeah. So the police stopped Ray and Cindy while they were driving around, and David Parker Ray was taken to jail. After the publicity surrounding the arrest, another victim, Angelica Montano. God,
Montano.
I can't word right now. Angelica Montano came forward. She told a similar story and said that she had reported the incident to the police, but there had been no follow-up. He also had a video of another victim, a woman named Kelly Van Cleve, which dated from 1996. Now, ultimately, Kelly was unidentified. However, they noticed a very interesting tattoo on her leg, and they sent a still from the video to the FBI and said, we can't figure out this tattoo. So
her story was just heartbreaking, because it's that night literally ruined her life. Well, I mean, she eventually got better, but it's it ruined a life that she was just starting.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, could I tell the story?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, she got into a fight with her husband, and she decided to go out at this nightclub to go play pool with her friends. It was called the Blue Water Saloon.
Yep.
And in Truth or Consequences, lovely name. And Ray's daughter Jessie was the one who drugged her beer while she was drinking. And they're like, you know what? We'll take her home. We're going to make sure she's okay. But then right when they got into the parking lot, they hit her from behind and knocked her unconscious and took her to the toy box.
So it's actually an interesting thing. She has done later interviews where she said that what actually happened was that she was going to ride with Jessie. And Jessie said, hey, do you mind if we stop off at my dad's place real quick? I want to drink a cup of coffee before we ride out. And she was like, yeah, go for it. And so they went over there, and that she willingly went to David Parker Ray's house. And then they attacked her.
Right.
And
I do remember that from the documentary, because they were like, hey, we have a place for you to lay down and rest and get sober and stuff.
Yeah. So she actually did not remember any of what had happened to her for a very long time. David Parker Ray ended up driving her home 3 days later. And when she got home, her husband was freaking out, asking, where have you been? What were you doing? Like, where were you? And she was just like, I don't know. And he's like, you're lying. You're cheating on me. Got into a huge fight with her. David Parker Ray actually stayed, and he was like, hey, I found her wandering around, over near the lake. I picked her up and brought her home because, she's my daughter's friend. And the husband was like, well, she's fucking cheating on me. She's fucking lying. I don't know what to do with her. Just get out of my house.
And even the mother-in-law was trying to accuse her of doing hard drugs and being a druggie and shit, typical ableism shit.
She did have a history of drinking and doing drugs. And when she married her husband, she had said, I'm gonna stop this life. I'm gonna be a good wife, all of this, because he was in the military and it was gonna, mess with his career if his wife was getting high and stuff like that. So I understand his upset, but I also think, listen
to your wife. Listen to your wife. Listen to what actually happened to them instead of getting all up in your feelings because you want to feel righteous in whatever you're feeling right now. Instead of
seriously. I think he was probably scared too. He's like, I haven't heard from you in 3 days. What do you mean you don't know what happened? And
then also his mother was involved. And his mother was involved in influencing that. And of course, they're going to listen to their mom.
Of course. Anyways, so
he annulled the marriage, and then she moved to Colorado, and then later was interviewed by Cold Case.
The FBI was they actually sent out pictures of this tattoo and were like, who knows whose tattoo this is. They enhanced the photo. They found they made this great enhanced photo, and it is a very unique tattoo. So as soon as Kelly saw that tattoo, she was just like, that's me. That is my tattoo.
Oh shit. Yeah.
Why is the FBI looking for me? So she got in touch with the FBI. She found out why they were looking for her. And all of a sudden, the nightmares that she had been having for the past 5 years started to make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I think eventually she did move to Colorado, got remarried, but then was still having nightmares and PTSD over it.
Now, in the investigation, there were 2 accomplices that were uncovered. That was Jessie Ray, David Ray's daughter, and Dennis Yancey. Now, Yancey admitted to strangling a former girlfriend, Marie Parker, after David Parker Ray had kidnapped and tortured her.
I do remember that, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was very bitter about them breaking up.
Yeah.
Wasn't he? Yeah.
He wasn't happy. Now, he would end up being convicted of 2nd-degree murder and a conspiracy to commit 1st-degree murder, and he was sentenced to 2 15-year prison terms. Now, after After that murder, David Parker Ray allegedly admitted to having had an accomplice in Billy Bowers, but we're not entirely sure how true that is.
Yeah, we don't have solid evidence for that.
No.
Because I think he even tried to like show them like where he hid a lot. Well, not really hid, but like dumped a bunch of bodies into the lake. Like even had X's on the lakes, and then when he tried to go and they were just gone, like nothing was there.
Yeah,
it's the fucking catfish. It's the fucking catfish, man.
Yep. Those friggin' catfish, I'm telling you. Don't trust
catfish and pigs. Is catfish and pigs.
And crawfish.
Catfish, pigs, and crawfish.
We're gonna have to have a whole list of like of what like animals not to trust now.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Watch as like serial killers, like potential, like aspiring ones, like look up, okay, and then what do I need to look out for? Okay, yeah, okay.
Crawfish,
okay, John.
Catfish, pigs.
You know what? I'm just gonna throw in capybaras. I'm biased because I love them. I love capybaras. But they just don't give a fuck. They can watch you dragging a body and they're just like, I don't care.
Deer will eat a body.
Yeah, deer will definitely eat a body.
Yeah. So anyways, to prevent women from reporting the crimes, obviously he, like we said, he had drugged them with agents to induce amnesia, and he's claim. All right, here it is in the recording. He said sodium pentothal and phenobarbital. There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Fascinating. At least he told them what he was like
using on
I mean,
them.
that's not I mean, it's not cool that you were using them without consent, but at least he told you like what he was using.
I guess,
but it's like I'm not going to give you points for like, you know, doing the shit you did. Just because you did one good thing doesn't mean shit.
What if like one of them was like, I'm actually allergic to phenobarbital?
He's like, oh shit. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, seriously.
Oh yeah, I'm allergic to those. Oh well, I done fucked up. Like, what are you supposed to do?
Hey, so listen, I know that you're like here to like rape me and murder me and all of that, and that you were like saying that, you know, you were gonna let me go after you gave me amnesia, but like the thing is, like, I'm like super allergic to phenobarbital, so
could you just see it was in that moment David knew he fucked up. Like,
so do you think you could just like hit me on the head with a hammer instead? You know?
Okay, here you go. Bam.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Yeah. A lot better. Ooh.
Right, yeah, it's much better. I would prefer to be hit with a hammer than, you know, drugged with sodium.
You know, it's just like because like EpiPens are like they're like $200 now, David, you know. So
what are you doing, man? Like, you could have bought some tacos with that. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Oh my god. Anyways, all right.
Okay, anyway. Enough fucking around.
Yep. All right. So a decision was made to try the cases involving his attacks in 3 trials, one for his acts against Cynthia, one for those against Angelica Montano, and one for those against Kelly. The trial 1 resulted in a mistrial and a retrial with a conviction on all 12 counts. Unfortunately, Angelica Montano died before trial 2, and there was no conviction. And in trial 3, David Parker Ray. God, I did it again.
It's okay. I almost did it too. So
yeah. Anyways, David Parker Ray agreed to a plea bargain in which he was sentenced in 2001 to 224 years in prison for numerous offenses in the abduction and sexual torture of 3 young women at his Elephant Butte Lake home. His daughter, Jessie, was also tried on charges of kidnapping, and she was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison with an additional 5 years to be served on probate. In 1999, Dennis Roy Yancey was convicted of the strangulation murder of Marie Parker in Elephant Butte, which David Parker Ray recorded. And in 2010, he was paroled after serving 11 years in prison, but the release was delayed by difficulties in negotiating a plan for his residence. 3 months after his release, he was charged with violating his parole and was remanded to custody, where he was to remain until 2021 to serve the rest of his original sentence. Now, I actually haven't updated. Let me check and see if he's been released yet. Dennis Roy Yancey.
I think he actually has been.
Yeah.
But I know one of them has been. Like, I think actually all of them have been, for like from what they told me in the documentary. Like, one of them really pissed. I think it was Cindy that like really kind of annoyed me because she said she got caught up in his, what she called, stupid sexual fantasies, which I get that, like, you know, you can get caught up in shit, but you're still responsible for what you did, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't care that you got caught up. I don't care how you felt about it. Regardless of what you did, you're still responsible for the role that you played.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, it doesn't really say any information online about whether or not he was released yet. So,
Interesting.
I would assume so, unless he, you know, violated something again. I don't know, man.
Right. Unless he violated parole, did something stupid.
In 2000, Cindy Hendy, who was David Parker Ray's accomplice and fiance, received a sentence of 36 years for her role in her crimes. She was scheduled to receive parole in 2017. However, she was released in 2019.
Very recently.
Serving 2 years of her parole in prison. She got released at July 15th, 2019. And then in March 2020, COVID hit.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's like, you're just going to be sitting at home anyway. Like, yeah, I graduated in 2019 from university. So it's like, God, that was so recent. Here I am walking the fucking line, like, with my little stupid graduation hat, and Cindy Hendy is fucking getting released from prison. Jeez. With the excuse, oh, I got caught up in his stupid sexual fantasies. Like, whoop-de-fucking-do, lady. Whoop-de-fucking-do.
Y'all, this is CM after 2 glasses of wine, and I'm living for it, okay?
Sorry, I
watched CM pour that second glass of wine, and I was like, y'all.
It's about to get lit. I'm contemplating a third, so I'm like, I probably shouldn't.
We're almost done. We're almost done.
Right, we're almost done.
So on May 28th, 2002, David Parker Ray was taken to the Lee County Correctional Facility in Hobbs, New Mexico, to be questioned by state police.
Sorry, this is my favorite part.
He died of a heart attack before the interrogation took place. Do you think that the cops were just sort of like,
who cares?
You're having chest pains? Oh.
Hold on, let's go to get a doctor, but then they just go back to, like, you know, going on their computer, like reading fan fiction of like, I don't know, whatever.
Hey, have you seen this this President Obama My Little Pony Mpreg fanfic?
Oh my God, I could see that. They're like, okay, you know, well, it's 2002, so what was good during 2002?
Transformers?
I guess, yeah, there we go. Transformers, like probably some yaoi fan fiction, you know.
Yeah. Oh, God.
So like, hey, check this out while they're hearing in the background, oh,
I'm having chest pains.
Hold on, just ignore that. We're doing some important research right now. Like, oh my god. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is my favorite part, guys.
The part where we lose our shit over our bad jokes.
Right. Well, he dies in the back, like, oh, that's his final words. Oh, why are you reading fanfics? I need help. I need a doctor.
They're just like, yeah. We'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Hold on. We're getting to the best part. We're like, get to it. Chapter 15, you know.
We'll get to it. Yeah. Just, oh my God, Bumblebee from the Transformers is pregnant, you guys. And
oh my
like
God.
David Parker Wade in the background, like,
oh,
I can't feel my arm. They're just like,
yeah, whatever. Who cares? Whatever. You raped and tortured people. Who fucking cares?
Yeah.
You're not real.
No.
But anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So that is kind of story.
It's kind of poetic, you know, so it's like right when it all comes crashing down, then your own body just fucking gives up on you. Like, okay,
honestly,
we're done.
Honestly, the way that I see it is like he was too much of a pussy to fucking deal with the consequences of his actions, and he fucking died.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah. We got a good comment here saying apparently this was the right time to join. Absolutely it was.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. No, seriously. He was like so much of a fucking baby about what he would actually have to do to like face the consequences for his actions, that he was just sort of like, hey, heart, could we just like not? And his heart was like, I got you, fam.
Right, like, oh no, poor pitiful me. I have to like face the consequences for what I did. And the heart's like, I got you, bro.
Yeah. That's pretty much
it's still like, regardless, I'm glad he got what he deserved, because he definitely deserved to die, but like
I still
really creeps me out that his accomplices.
How many women, you know?
Not just that, but like his accomplices are still walking free. And since I'm so since we're so close to that area, it's like, what if we ran into them?
I'm even closer than you are. I'm in.
Yeah, you are definitely closer than. Yeah, you're definitely closer. So it's like, fuck, you know?
Yeah. Meanwhile, like, you know, the one thing that I'm worried about is accidentally running into OJ Simpson, since apparently we live in the same town.
Oh?
Yeah, if you would like to put into our get Dakota out of jail for punching OJ Simpson fund, go ahead and throw it right there in our patreon.com.
Yes, absolutely. Because if we see him, if Dakota sees him, shit's gonna go down, and we're gonna need some bailout money. Like,
Dakota's gonna need some bail money hard.
Absolutely. So
yup. I've been saying it for years, guys. I will go to jail for punching OJ Simpson in the face. I don't care if he's like 1,000 years old now. I will still do it. How old is he?
God, I remember reading that. I took forensic science in 12th grade.
He is 74 years old, and I would fight an old man.
Yes, fight an old man, because I went over that case in high school, and we just went like completely over it. We watched some documentaries in class.
Mm-hmm.
It's traumatizing. It really is.
So actually, interesting story. In January for my birthday, I went to New Orleans, obviously, and we went to the Museum of Death in New Orleans.
And it's beautiful. Not as great as the Los Angeles one, but that's just my humble opinion.
Just wait until the LA one reopens.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Yeah. because I made very good friends with the LA employees, and one of them was actually in New Orleans when I was there. So he and I were talking about some of the stuff. I'll tell you off screen because I don't want to spoil the surprise for anybody. But I brought Kate with me, and Kate, as many people know, has not had the same level of exposure to true crime as I have. And therefore, she's not exactly the most comfortable around this sort of thing. However, I will give her this. She handled that museum like a fucking champ, number one. And number two, there was pictures of Nicole Brown Simpson that I had never seen before. And I gave her I would go and look at the cases first, and then I would be like, okay, so this is what's happening in this case, this is what's happening in these pictures, this is what's happening over there. And I told her there's some really graphic pictures of Nicole Brown Simpson, like, if you don't want to look at that, don't look at it. She was looking at something else, so she didn't notice it. So later I'm shopping because obviously I needed Museum of Death shirts. I hadn't been able to get one since 2020.
Right. When that whole ordeal went down.
Yeah. And so she comes out and she's like, I didn't see the Nicole Brown pictures. And I was like, oh, yeah, they're pretty bloody. Like, you might not want to look at those. And she was like, no, I want to see them. Where are they? And I was like, okay. So the girl who worked at the museum, like, led us back over to that case and showed Kate. And she was just like, and she actually stood there and looked at them for a little while. I was so proud of her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's how it was about that one case for the LA location. I'm trying to remember. It was a couple that were like, it was a woman who was cheating on her husband with this guy. And they decided to kill her husband, and they literally they were like on drugs for like 3 days.
I remember
and then she tried to lie about
where that was. I literally remember exactly where that was. So when you first walk into the Museum of Death in Hollywood, there was the room full of like serial killer art and like letters and stuff like that. And then after that, it was like execution room. And then after that, it was like the autopsy and everything room. And then when you walked out of that room, you were in a hallway. And if you went to the right in the hallway, you were in what I called car accident hallway. But if you went directly to the left on the wall were all of those Polaroids of the woman and the boyfriend killing and dismembering the husband. And then they found his body in like garbage bags and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. But I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I have the whole layout for the museum.
Sorry, I had the flashback of like when I went, so I was like, I know exactly what you're talking about. I even got to see Richard Ramirez's hair for some reason, like just little strands of his hair, like little Flavor Aid packets and
the whole room of like Heaven's Gate. Seriously, when I would go to the Museum of Death in Hollywood, I went so often that they would just let me in after a point. Like I would bring so many people in and I would send so many people over there because I used to work at Ripley's. And so I'd be like, oh, like the people like would finish the like tour at Ripley's and they'd be like, what do you recommend for like someone who wants to see more of this stuff, but like creepier? And I'd be like, well, how creepy do you want to get? And they'd be like, gruesome. And I'd be like, Museum of Death. It's about
Museum of Death.
It's about a mile-ish down the boulevard. You're going to love it. Tell them the bearded lady sent you. And then I would go in a couple weeks later and they'd be like, how many people do you send here? And I'd be like, all of them.
All of them.
I send all of
LA, all of Hollywood.
Welcome. You are welcome.
Right.
Love those guys. Love them. But
they are very nice.
Oh my God.
Like the one time I went, I actually did an art drop outside of the Museum of Death. And somebody immediately grabbed it. You know, it was just like some stupid little sketch I did of like a girl with like a skull. It was like really stupid. And then I actually told the guy as I was coming out, like, oh yeah, I think so. I did an art drop drop. I want to see if somebody got it. And they're like, oh, you did an art drop? You're an artist? And they like, I want to see. And then we all went out and the picture was already taken. And it was just like, oh, I wanted to see it. But, it's cool that, you picked this place to do it. That's actually one of my favorite things to do is art drops. So
yeah, I love that. So I would go in and they would be like, and I'd be like cranky or something. I'd be like, I'm having a hard day. And they were like, are you going to be over by the Heaven's Gate room? I'd be like, yeah. And they'd be like, all right, go ahead, go in.
right.
And then they'd be doing their little walkthroughs and stuff. They'd see me just like listening to like the Heaven's Gate stuff through like the keyhole shaped hole in the door, and they'd be like, you having a good time? I'd be like, yeah. They'd be like, okay. They keep walking, doing their little checks to make sure nobody was like videotaping and stuff.
Right.
I miss the Museum of Death like so much. I want them to open one here in Vegas so that I can work there on weekends. It was really funny. I was working in LA at a bar, and this person was like, didn't I see you at the Museum of Death last week? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, yeah, you were like giving a tour. And I was like, no, I'm not a tour guide. No,
I just enjoying the Heaven's Gate, trying to descend.
No, because I took forensic science in high school and everything. I know a lot about autopsies. I know a lot about how they do the whole process and everything, what they use a lot of the vintage equipment for and everything. So I would bring friends in and I would explain stuff to them. And so people would think that I was doing tours and that I worked there.
Oh, yikes.
And so there would be times where I'd walk out and the guys would be like, were you giving tours again? And I'd be like, stop. No, I was just giving tours to my friends. And they'd be like, people think you work here. I'd be like, stop.
Give you a job. Come on, problem solved.
Seriously. We used to joke about like hiding one of the employees' bodies in one of the coffins so that I could take his job.
Right.
Because I'm an asshole like that. And then I saw him again like later working at a movie theater, and I was like, what the fuck? Okay. It was funny. But anyway, we have gone very off topic. That's what happens when we drink more than one glass of wine.
Yep.
It's all right. We'll cut this down before we post it as a podcast. Yeah, definitely. But anyways, so if you have enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/ChardonnayTC. It's right here scrolling at the bottom. Check that out. You're going to get a whole lot more bonus content. You'll be able to connect with us on Discord. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. What's the thing that you just made for us? A card?
I made us a card. I actually do have that on our Instagram.
Nice.
Yeah, so that has all of our links of where we're at. We're on Spotify, we're on Anchor, we're everywhere.
We're everywhere. Also, don't forget, today our no names list has been updated to include David.
Yes.
So be careful of people with these names. CM, take it.
Do not trust Todd, Tommy, Richard, Rodney, and David. And I just want to throw in, I've noticed most, if not all of them, ended up with some form of a Ford mustache. So if you see a Ford mustache, I'm not saying they're a serial killer, but you need to be suspicious. You need to be on guard,
Yeah.
So chill out.
Yeah.
Beware of the Ford mustache. They could be wanting to sell you something, or they're wanting to kill you.
Or both.
Just saying. Or both.
Both. Oh, my mustache is falling off. There we go. All right. Yeah. So until next time, have a great night, everybody. Watch out for the no names. And next week, we will not be discussing murder, actually. Next week, we will be discussing the kidnapping of Elizabeth Smart.
Yes.
This is a really interesting case. We can't wait to bring it to you. And after that, we are going to get into Pride Month by talking about our favorite drifter couple, Henry Lee Lucas, and Otis Toole.
Fun stuff.
It's gonna be gross stuff, guys. I can't.
Oh, it's gonna be gross stuff. Fun, gross stuff.
Yeah, it's gonna be yucky. I can't wait to bring it to you guys. Have a great rest of your night.
All right.
And, goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.